Hey, welcome. This is a pranayama practice for you to cultivate the three qualities of mind, that is ahankara, buddhi, and ananda. Your narrative mind needs a place to rest. Your buddhi, the intelligence mind, can chaperone that resting using mindfulness tools and pranayama. And then your witness mind can let you lean back into that larger love, that larger presence. So this pranayama is specifically for that. This is an intermediate pranayama practice. So if you need a beginner refresher on ujjayi breathing, you can check that here. If you'd like to explore the beginning phases of exhale suspension and how we actually cultivate our comfort level with exhale suspension, go ahead and look at that video right here. If you're ready for this one, then please dive right in. And let me know at the end, again, if you have any questions, comments, remember to subscribe to the channel, all those good things. Thank you. Namaste. For practice, I'm glad to see you. We're going to be focusing again in pranayama and then the inner subtle body of yoga. So let's start with a comfortable seat, please. You can rest your hands in your lap or maybe on your heart if you feel. You're welcome to close your eyes. Lift the base of your skull so your attention kind of drops down as the base of the skull goes up. Our gaze is inclined to go down in towards the heart. Allow your attention to drop down also into your physical body. You might choose a low place of connection to the ground beneath you. For example, your feet or your seat, I like to say. But if you need something more subtle than that, right, if that is a helpful place to go, it's in the dense physical body. It's tangible, it's happening in the present moment, and it helps a very busy mind to find a place to get grounded. But sometimes as we mature in our practice, we need a place that's more subtle for the quality of mind that moves towards sattva. So in that case, you might choose to focus your attention at the place where the inhale and the exhale begin and end, down low in the pelvic basin. And you can picture that both inhale and exhale begin and end in the same spot. And though it seems that the breath then moves through the body as it does, our mind can stay at that one place, the beginning of the inhale, the ending of the exhale, or what you might think of as the momentary exhale pause. It is a sort of quickly maturing practice. That means that it moves your practice along expediently. If you can rest your mind at that spot, not actually even following the sensations of the breath. So inhale and exhale will happen, but the mind, the narrative mind, can rest there in that one small geographical location. As a place to rest your thinking mind or your narrative mind. Now let that sustain to the best of your ability and begin deepening your breathing using the ujjayi breath. That you can sense the inhale gets longer, the exhale longer and slower. At the same time, the breath becomes a little bit more full. including lower, middle, and upper regions of the torso. And as you're practicing Ujjayi like this, keep your narrative thinking mind, the monkey mind, resting at that one place in the low abdomen. And you can kind of use your wise mind or your chaperoning mind to support the Ujjayi breath rising and moving. So there are two aspects of mind there. In yoga, one of those is called ahankara, means the ego mind, what I'm referring to as narrative mind. And the other is called the buddhi, that is the mind of intelligence, right? Which we can think of as our wise mind, or right now, our chaperoning, witnessing, kind of stewarding mind. And there is a third thing I'd like you to consider, and that is the presence that is watching you make this effort, like the loving presence that sees you arriving on your yoga mat, keeping this commitment, making this effort. Notice what happens for you mentally, physically, when you sense that larger love, we could call it. At the end of your next Ujjayi exhale, go ahead and release the breath. Even though it was a subtle practice, release it. And please bring your hands together at your heart. We'll chant Asatoma Satgamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart and release your hands. And you're welcome to quietly open your eyes. So these three things, as I was referring to, one I'm calling the narrative mind, In classical yoga, it's called the ahankara, or the ego mind. It's important to have a healthy ego, so we're not trying to obliterate that. The second thing I was referring to is your witness or chaperoning mind, the mind that knows that meddling with your breath practice is probably not that helpful, but cultivating and maintaining steadiness and clarity is more helpful. That's called your buddhi, that part of the mind. And then I referred to this third thing, that loving presence that is observing you, making this effort, this kind of seeing you. Like I often thought of my grandfather after he passed away when I was quite young. I thought, oh, he's somewhere in this thing people close to me call heaven, and he went to see God. This is how I was told. So I actually interpreted that as my grandfather had to go take God's job and become God. So that was a wonderful way to have a relationship with my grandfather and God. But it was a sense of like this benevolent, loving presence that would have always wanted the best for me. So that thing we can refer to as the Atman, or the larger presence. You might think of it as the seer, that which is seeing through you and looking at that which is being seen. So what is being seen? The narrative mind is practicing getting still and grounded in one place so that the seeing can occur and you are seeing something, the place where the inhale and exhale begin and end. To have that kind of seeing, the narrative mind has to stop bouncing around. It cannot just be going lily pad to lily pad, like a frog like that. So the seer, the seeing, and the seen. That's the phrase from the Bhagavad Gita. You are the seer, the seeing, and the seen. Now, most of us in daily life, when it comes to something like mindfulness, we're being trained on how to help the narrative mind take a seat and be less bothersome, which is great. But notice what happens when in our practice just now, for a couple of minutes, you also move to, the seer. What happens to us biochemically, neurologically, mentally, in the heart, right? There's a larger sense there. And so it's very important to have this narrative mind get grounded. Of course, spend time there, but don't forget to spend time recognizing that larger presence. It has a very powerful effect for your brain, which is to say then your mind, your body, your health, your relationships. So with that in mind, pranayama is a practice to help us get this thing grounded, to cultivate that chaperoning, and then to sense that presence. So take a seat again. If you have adjusted your seat, go ahead and come back to the seat that's upright for you. And I'm going to suggest that you put your hands out over your knees so that they are taut. Okay, and then pull up through the crown of your skull. Set the shoulders back a little bit. Go ahead and close your eyes. With your inhale, rotate your nose to the right, turn your whole head. The exhale, rotate to your left. Inhale, rotate right. And notice if you keep the body taut, so you're reaching up through the crown of the skull like the pole of the circus tent. And as you move your head side to side, you may have a variety of sensations up and down the sides of your neck. Of course, it won't surprise you that some of those sensations reflect mental tension. And mental tension can not only be solved by having mindfulness of the object of attention, but mental tension, I think, is more quickly resolved when we remember that larger presence. We'll go one more time to the left. Rotate back to center. Keeping your arms taut. On the inhale, lift your heart, lift your collarbones, open your throat. On your exhale, bring your chin down towards the lower base of the throat and then curl down. And then inhale and roll up. So it's kind of like doing cat-cow and mostly the upper thoracic and cervical spine. And exhale, chin, roll it down slowly towards the base of the throat. And then round the upper back. And inhale to lift again. So concentrate this extension and flexion into your thoracic and cervical spine, and especially to your upper and mid-thoracic spine. And do that twice more, please. Okay, and last one. And then take a seat and relax your arms. You could even do palms face up now, which is a gesture of surrender. Release the pranayama and see if you can take your mind kind of immediately to that larger presence. And that was a simple stretching, breathing, synchronizing practice. Let's take it another step in the process here. So as you're sitting, interlace your fingers. One thing to note is that when the hands go behind your head, you're going to have the pinkies at the base of the skull, at the occipital ridge right there. And so you are going to be supporting the base of the skull that way. Okay, let's inhale, push forward and round your thoracic spine. Ujjayi, exhale, draw in, lift your chest, squeeze the upper back. Inhale, push forward. Exhale, draw in, squeeze the upper back. Inhale, press up and look up. Exhale, bring your chin down towards your throat. Inhale, lift up and look up. Exhale, bring your chin down towards your throat. Now once more, inhale, lift up and look up. This time, exhale, bring your hands down at the base of your skull at the occipital ridge. And then inhale, bring the elbows forward and lift up and look up. Exhale, elbows wide, bring your chin down towards your throat. Inhale, elbows forward, lift up, look up. Exhale, elbows wide, squeeze the upper back, bring your chin towards your throat. Inhale, press your arms up, lift up and look up. And exhale, press your arms wide as you come down at the small of your back, interlace your fingers. Inhale, place your knuckles on the floor behind you or on a blanket or a block and look up. Exhale, bring only your chin down towards your throat. Inhale, lift up and look up. Exhale, chin down towards the center of your throat. And one more time, inhale, lift up and look up. And then Ujjayi, exhale, release your hands to your lap. Let's do palms face up. Close your eyes. Deeply relax and sense that larger presence. You might notice that there's energy moving in the head, throat, neck region. So we're in Vyanavayu, Udanavayu, Pranavayu. We're going to drop down into some Apanavayu practices. So right now we'll do 10 strong breath cycles, activating the lower abdomen for inhale, exhale very strongly. You can think of them not as Kapalabhati, but more like a Bastrika, like a bellows. So like this. Now inhale from the lower, middle to the upper torso and hold the breath for a few moments. Release the bandhas and exhale slowly. Exhale completely. And then rest at the bottom of that. So the in-breath that follows those 10 strong breath cycles should be slow and thoughtful. It'll probably be a relatively large inhale. And then you'll hold that with the bandhas. Okay, so let's repeat. Inhale slow. Release the bandhas and exhale slowly and thoughtfully. At the bottom of the exhale, consider not inhaling. And of course, then inhale when you're ready to. Okay, now as you're sitting cross-legged and I am sitting on a physio ball, I have a support in front of me. You're going to want a support in front of you. That could be the floor. It could be a block on the floor. So we're going to be bowing forward to touch the head to something. And in that touching your head, when it's supported there, when we finish the exhale, we'll have squeezed the lower belly. And then we're going to relax the low belly without inhaling. There'll be an internal suction that happens to the body. My hope is that it's very quieting to you. And then you're going to tone the belly before you inhale to come back up. Okay, so on the way down, you're squeezing without inhaling. We relax the exhale muscles, and by that, all three bandhas will come in a subtle form. Don't exaggerate it. Let it be subtle. Then tone the belly before you inhale to come back up. But place your hands at the small of your back. Let's place the head so you're in Jalandhara Bandha to start. And we're going to inhale, lower, middle, upper, slowly, without any interruptions. And then exhale, come slowly forward, squeezing the breath out. And then relax the exhale muscles. Tone the belly when you're ready to. Inhale, rise up to sitting. And you might exhale and then relax, right? Not having anything important to do, right? Or you can go directly to the next breath cycle. So that was one round. Let's do 4 times, please. At your own pace, you might have one more time to do. And when you rise back up to your seat, you can rest your hands in your lap. You might do palms face up, a reminder that you're kind of surrendering and listening for that larger presence. Now we'll complete with a simple form of Nadi Shodhana. We're going to inhale, whatever length that is. And you might have noticed this during the pranayama we were just doing, which is called Kormasana or Korma Mudra. You may have found that your inhale and exhale started to equal out. Perhaps the exhale pause was also equal to that. I didn't direct it because I don't want you to become overly efforted, right? Where the chaperoning mind gets usurped by your narrative mind, thinking, I better keep up, other kids are doing it, whatever your thoughts are, or I did it yesterday, I should be able to do it today. So I want you to kindly keep that narrative mind grounded and centered, and then chaperone the possibility now of inhale left, suspension, exhale right, inhale right, suspension, exhale left. So it's an upside down triangle. Means that the inhale suspension in Nadi Shodhana is equal to the inhale and the exhale length, if possible, right? Don't force it, but listen for the possibility of it. Okay, so bring your right hand up. Let's close the right nostril to begin with inhale left. There's no ujjayi in Nadi Shodhana. It is simply Nadi Shodhana. Remind yourself that during the inhale suspension, you are using all three bandhas, but you don't need to be extreme. You don't have to create additional extra pressure. You're suspending and then exhale slowly. For anyone for whom you'd like to make the practice to the next step of elegance or maturity, you can partially close the nostril through which you're breathing. That is going to further slow down inhale and exhale. You may have to be thoughtful about the length of your inhale suspension if you add that little constriction to the nostril in the practice. At the end of your next exhale through the left nostril, then go ahead and rest quietly. You can do palms face up again. Listen for that larger presence. You might also consider not really breathing. When meditation feels natural, we call it sahaj, the naturalness of the meditative state. Thank you for sharing this kind of practice. Thank you for sharing your practice with us. So before you go, don't forget to hit subscribe to the channel. Click like for any videos that work well for you. I do take that as feedback, and then leave comments or questions down below. I look forward to hearing from you. Namaste.